When I first picked up Poison Ivy issue 1, I immediately knew I was in for something exceptional. Written by G. Willow Wilson and art by Marcio Takara. Hopefully I'm saying both of those right. Probably not, and if I said it wrong, I am so sorry. But normally, it takes me, I'd say, about 6 or 7 issues to fully immerse myself in the series. But right from the start, we are introduced to a very dark version of Poison Ivy. Not that she hasn't been a villain in the past, but this one is definitely dark. She kicks things off with basically wanting to eradicate humanity, which isn't that far off for her usual MO. And I gotta be honest, it's hard to hate someone who wants to save the planet and the green, especially when we humans keep wrecking the environment, creating waste, and harming the very world she is trying to protect. So I expected a story that would just go down the eco-terrorist path, and it does do that, but what I didn't expect was to have a mix of body horror, monstrous plans, and eco-terrorism, and sex. And you know what? It fucking works. The first arc is Ivy traveling to different corners of the world to carry out her mission, basically reverse the damage that humanity has done. And her powers, deeply attuned to the green, are growing stronger by the minute. She will not stop until she gets what she wants. And if you're dumb enough to stand in her way, well, she'll put a seed in your body and it'll rip out of your goddamn stomach or chest like a xenomorph. So maybe don't get in her way. But before we get deeper into the plot, I have to shout out the art. My God, it is stunning. It's also grotesque and especially horrifying when some of these deaths happen, especially thanks to Ivy. She does not fuck around in this series. I mean, just look at some of this shit. It's crazy. There are some brutal ends for characters who have crossed her, yet somehow Ivy herself is more seductive than ever. This is by far the hottest version of Poison Ivy for me, and that's saying a lot because she usually is pretty hot. But it's not just the sex appeal. She's just terrifying as hell. So for some people like myself, terrifying and hot go hand in hand, you know what I'm saying? Balancing sexy and scary is not an easy feat, but they nailed it here. Now let's talk about villains. Sure, the plant-destroying humans can be painted as the bad guys, because, well, they kind of are. But the main antagonist here is actually part of the green as well. Woodrue, aka the Green Man, is the bad guy in the overall scheme of things. My familiarity with the Green Man comes mostly from Swamp Thing, so his return was a really nice surprise. But here, it's even more unsettling. He's trying to play the daddy role for Poison Ivy, which is beyond freaking creepy. Considering his past with her, it even amplifies their relationship. And yes, let's just say that he does some seriously disturbing sexual manipulation. That's just who he is. And it's not, I'm not going to go with the, the R word, but I am going to go with the word of manipulation because that's exactly what he does to get what he wants. And that's what makes him a very compelling antagonist here. And that is just the first arc. Well, it is one of my favorite parts in the entire series. Willow smartly lets Poison Ivy evolve through the next few arcs. We slow down a bit with the body horror to explore a more grounded Pamela, who starts to just question her desire in destroying mankind. At the same time, we're introduced to an excellent supporting cast, including a phenomenal Croc and Janet. Janet is fantastic. I don't want to give away too much, but I love her. At first, she doesn't want to be part of Ivy's world, then saves her, and then sleeps with her. So she's swept up and becomes part of the journey. It's messy, but I gotta say, it's messy in the best possible way. There are 2 more arcs I want to highlight here, and I'm trying to be light on spoilers because I want people to read this, but I'm going to talk about them a bit. Plus, I want to talk about a one-shot that I absolutely loved, and it is my favorite one-shot from last year. First, Ivy's backstory is handled beautifully here. We get a deep dive into her origins before she became Poison Ivy, and it's refreshing to see a character who made so many mistakes but doesn't try to cover them up. It's rare to find a deeply flawed character who is still reliable and understandable to some extent. And while Ivy can seem monstrous at times, her actions were shaped by people like the Green Man. Before he became a literal monster, he was a manipulator and a villain in his own right. It's a brilliant way to show how Ivy evolved from victim to villain and now possibly trying to find some type of redemption in her life. The other arc that I want to mention is the current one, where it's a cult who was formed from the beliefs that Ivy is the Green Knight. Ivy just wants to be left the hell alone, but when the past comes crashing into her present, she cannot avoid it. The flashback origin that came before it gives a lot of emotional weight to the reveal, and the eco-terrorism themes return, which brings it and harkens it back to who Poison Ivy is, but this time, it's not Ivy doing the terrorism. It's a situation she just can't walk away from because the stakes are too high and she's stuck trying to navigate this tangled mess of the past and who she is now, and it's just thrilling to read. And finally, the very last thing I wanted to talk about was the Poison Ivy / Swamp Thing crossover, Feral Trees, and it is a must read. If you want to get into this series, you can even just read this first because it doesn't spoil anything about the main series. And as a huge Swamp Thing fan, he is possibly top 3 for me. Seeing him interact with Ivy, both of them part of the Green, both of them warriors of the Green, but vastly different views, was incredible. See, Ivy is stuck between her human side and her connection to the plant and Green, while Swamp Thing is aligned fully with the Green, but walks amongst humans. Their philosophy back and forth is fantastic, and it's a murder investigation plot / kidnapping, adding an extra layer of intrigue. Mike Perkins' art is absolutely breathtaking in this one shot. I mean, gorgeous. I come back to this religiously just to point out how fucking great the art is. It's just, it adds to the overall story. You have to read this one shot. It's called Feral Trees. Do not miss this. Even if you don't have time to read all of Poison Ivy series, this one shot needs to be read. And really, my point here in this little video is simple. I try not to spoil much because most of Poison Ivy's run has been really special to me. There's a couple of dips in the second arc I thought were a little iffy, but overall, every time I read an issue of this, I'm constantly smiling. I am keeping up with this series and enjoying it. It is top 5 DC comics for me right now, and that's including up there with like absolute Wonder Woman, which is absolutely amazing, by the way. I'll do another video on that. But yeah, going from a character who wasn't even in my top 10 of Batman's rogue gallery, let alone a character I thought I'd ever be invested to, but damn, I am so glad I gave this series a shot. From body horror to stunning visuals to Ivy living her best life and embracing her sexuality with multiple people, this series just hits all the right notes. You get a tragic backstory, a compelling present, and so much more. Honestly, if you are a DC fan, or if you're a Batman fan, or you even like Poison Ivy's design, this series is a must read. This is one of my favorite comics on the stands, and I cannot encourage people enough to go out and check this out. Poison Ivy is one hell of a comic. If you liked my video, you know what to do. Hit that like button because that means that I know that you enjoy this and you want more. If you loved my video, hit the subscribe button because that means you want to stick around and see more of my nerdy ass videos. And drop a comment below letting me know what you think of Poison Ivy, or if you read this series and what you think of it, or do you not like this series? I like all opinions. I like discussion, so put them below. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day and wonderful day and go and enjoy this amazing series right now.